Hello and good evening. Yeah, we are living our best life.
Yes. That's the only time I ever seen Diana Ross in rhythm.
Oh, you know what? I cannot.
That's the first time I've never seen her in like that. I'm like, goodness.
Oh my
I'm a
God.
Diana Ross fan, closeted fan. I have never seen Miss Ross in that type of rhythm before. That's the first. That must have been a deleted scene from The Wiz.
That's true.
A deleted scene.
You can't win.
You can't win.
You can't win.
That was a song, wasn't it? The
Yeah.
lyrics might be negative, but the song is sort of on point.
Right.
I'm surprised nobody sampled it yet.
Yeah, I think somebody did.
Nobody sampled that song.
Wow. Yeah, it is it is a very negative song. You know, I mean, it really, but you know, it's just kind of encompassing of how, you know, we have seen each other, you know, and that's what was written based upon the premise of how, you know, in that area of the world, how Black people were seeing themselves. You know, we still have a lot of people seeing themselves like that, you know, in their mentalities. They can't win, you know.
I mean, if you look at Reckoning,
Reckoning.
You seen the Reckoning, Charles?
That's it. Hey, one of these days you got to stand in it.
Wow. Okay. But anyway, before we dig in, so we'll say good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Truth Behind the Truth. We weren't with you last week because one of us was not feeling under the weather, so y'all feeling under the weather, so we couldn't pull it off last week. You know, two of us actually. Charles was under the weather last week too as well. So we back live with you tonight. All right, wishing you the best and the greatest of the holiday season. Christmas is next week. Wow, time is just going so super fast. So next Tuesday night will be our annual Christmas show. I don't know what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna do something to celebrate the Christmas. All right, you know, at the end of the day. But yeah, next week is our annual. Is that our 7th show or is it our 6th show? It's our 6th Christmas show.
Yeah, it'd be your 6th.
It's the 6th show, but is it our 7th Christmas? That's the question. You know.
Because we always 6 because each season you do one, and this is 6th season. So
6th season,
unless you've done one before, you know, that I don't know of.
Yeah. So which is good. But anyway, so we're back again with you guys, and then after that, I'm like, God, we'll be doing a New Year's show. Oh my God, New Year's 2026.
I'm nervous for 2026. I don't
really.
I am nervous.
Yeah.
If this the year or whatever it was, I don't know what to call it. But next year, I'm a little troubled. I don't care what anybody says. You shouldn't go into the new year negative. But hell, it's been a negative year already. I mean, might as well go into the next year woke to the negativity that's bound to happen. I mean, people losing their minds out here, and
that is the truth behind the truth. They're
groceries
really
high, gas high, cholesterol is getting high.
This is the best economy we've ever had. I have made us the greatest economy the world has ever seen. Don't believe the hype.
He raised my blood pressure with this economy. Tariffs got us all screwed up. I ain't got nothing. I mean, you can't even watch the news and get good news. It's always something crazy going on. So it is what it is, Charles. It's a mess.
President Potty Pants.
It is a mess going on.
So President Potty Pants. President Potty Pants.
No, whatever it is. Y'all keep putting that name of that man in that presidential seat. I don't call him that. I don't give him that accolade. I say that whatever the clown, the orange clown, the purple man, whatever it is, he ain't the president, you know. But he ain't my president anyway. I think it's a good thing about. I just thought about the clip from Michelle Obama the other night and we're going to talk about Rob Reiner. In just a second. Really nice clip that she did on Jimmy Kimmel the other night. But our loading capability is changing on our streaming platform, so we maybe need to make some adjustments with that as well.
That's the government.
Anyway, it probably is. I wouldn't be surprised.
Can't say nothing bad about that man up there.
Yeah.
You say something bad about him, I mean, he posted everything that was just crazy about that. What was it? That Rob Reiner post about I hope he rests in heavenly peace with all this craziness above all of that. That man is out of his mind.
Man is literally
out of his freaking mind.
But let's celebrate Rob first, and then we'll tear down on that. But we want to remind you guys to like it, share. Please do that. Support us by your contributions. We need 26 to be a big year for us. Okay. So we will put the information up about supporting us throughout the show. If you have any questions, whatever, you can feel free to text us at the show, and we will be able to, or send an email to the TTB.
And don't be afraid to pray. Do a seance.
TTBT@gmail.com. Let's talk, please.
Don't talk. Finish.
So those particulars, out there for you, and that's just corresponding with. We got some great guests coming up in the new year. Starting also, our first guest of the month will be my wonderful cousin, author, Miss Tawana Hall Scott will be with us throughout the month, sharing some great information and great wisdom on her behalf. So she's going to be our first guest of the month. Another young lady here in LA, a good friend of mine named Maureen. She works a lot with the homeless in the community. So she's going to be considering being probably the month of February will be with her. Okay. And in between, we have Dr. Nicole will be returning us, our licensed therapist, which all y'all need. I mean, I'm just kidding. So she'll be back with us. The wonderful Coco Brown will be coming back with us Coco as well. Yes. The wonderful Samson McCormick. He'll be coming on board with us, chatting on a few shows coming up soon. And I am still working on my buddy to see if we can get him on after the first of the year. Be a nice return for him to be back as well. So we've got a lot of people in the pipeline. All right. Yeah. So you guys get excited for the second year of second half of 20 second half of the Truth Behind the Truth for 2026. What I'm trying to say.
Second half of season 6.
Season 6, exactly. All right, so you can see our format. I don't know how you're seeing it, guys. As far as this new format that we've got
us all over the place.
Yeah, it does. So we having to squeeze together a little bit more, to make sure we're on scammer at the same time. And then on our Instagram side, it does work well, but it's how this new system is. So we're gonna figure it out. Like we told you a couple weeks ago. But anyway, thank you for being here tonight. Yeah. And we were gonna dig in and talk about our dear friend that unfortunately transitioned, through the hand of his son, Rob. He was just a very I've been inspired by him for a long time, in the industry, what he's been able to accomplish and the just in this industry, it's really hard to have a great name over yourself, that so many people appreciate. It really is, because either they're extremely controversial, like Clint Eastwood. All right. And really don't do anything to bring the country or people together, but Rob was focusing on that. And of course, that man in the White House couldn't stand him, because he really was one of the ones in the entertainment arena that spoke highly against him. Which was fine with everybody else, at the end of the day. So, and to prove that, and we can all make our points about that when, unfortunately, it's unfortunate passing, the tragedy of his death, the clown had just stupid shit to say, but what can you expect coming out of somebody like that? At the end of the day, this, if you never knew what the word narcissistic meant, all you had to do is turn on the news and look for him. The complete avenue of narcissism, complete. So I just we will all heal from the aspect of at some point about what happened to Rob Reiner, and I was just shocked. I really was. I'm still shocked, at the fact. But then the other thing about this is that we always assume that because these are people, we think people are in a place of high esteem wealth. We think that all of these things that because you have money, I'm not putting him and his family on the spot, but we think that they don't have issues in their families, and they do. And typically a lot of times it comes with their offspring, their children. We could go down the list. Even back as far as President Carter, with Amy Carter, she had issues. And
not too long ago, a black opera singer,
Oh yeah, his son.
His son,
right.
Jubilant Sykes.
Yeah, his son just did the same thing.
Him too.
Same thing.
What's going on?
So I don't know if there's something in the water when the babies were being created in the 80s or something. I don't know. I mean, I really don't. Early
mental illness, and I ain't trying to make fun of mental whatever, but I'm just saying. I think some people, y'all don't need to be messing with people with that type of situation. I'm just saying something ain't right. Why these folks are acting out, we don't know.
Yeah.
But one thing, I will say this though, honestly, it's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate in these times of peril and craziness that you would watch the news. You know what's so funny? There was that. And I'm going off a little bit, so y'all bear with me. Do you remember that scene on First Wives Club when Goldie Hawn was getting the lip injection?
Yes.
I did not know that. Was he the director in that film? Okay, because
he wasn't the director, but he was in the film.
He was in the film as the plastic surgeon. So when I saw his picture, I was like, "That's old dude from First Wives Club." Uh-huh. But to be honest with you, it's still unfortunate that like you said. People with that type of success, that type of affluent, my goodness, people have issues within their situations that we don't know too much about.
Yes,
but it's so unfortunate. His wife and him had to die that type of horrible death, and I'm praying we all should be, at least understanding that in this time in this society that. Mental illness is real, regardless of whatever part of society that you live in, or a class or whatever religion that you worship. You have to understand that there are people who are ill and they're suffering, and they don't. And you got to see the signs, because I don't want to put my brother out there, but PTSD is another situation that and that is going on right now, regardless if you're in the military or not. And I think people should take that as really take to heart that people are in need of some type of help. So when people are acting erratic, you don't need to be laughing. You need to be understanding and being considerate that there are people out there who will crash out.
Right, this is true. And
I don't play with people. I mean, I work in the public sector. I don't play with people's emotions. I don't even stand there and argue with you. I work in retail. I had to work with people who yelled at you about simple pricing, which is crazy.
Right.
But you don't know what's going on with people when they walk through those doors. I just look at it like, hey, if you have an issue, at the end of the day, I wouldn't give them the foundation. But understand that there are people who are going through a lot. Right. Charles, go ahead and put your point in.
You say throw my cherry on top? Well, I suffer from PTSD and depression, so I can relate wholeheartedly. Rob's son has been in rehab 17 times since the age of 15. Wow. So starting from the age of 15, he's been in rehab. And, we don't know what's troubling him or what made him, but one thing we do know is that mental wellness has no, how do we put it? It doesn't discriminate. It can pick rich, poor, black, white, old, young. It doesn't matter. I used to look at guys and go, man, what's wrong with that dude? And then once I start going through it, I can relate now. It's not a simple answer. It's something that until we get empathetic about our fellow human beings around the world, we'll never be able to fully cope with or even adjust how this can affect your life. My number 3 grandson is autistic. We kept thinking, why is he so hard-headed? Why he just won't? And then finally he was diagnosed at the age of 3, almost 4, as being autistic. I was like, man, I was wondering why he just determined to do what he wanted to do. And he'll look at you like, I don't care what you tell me, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And you're like, why is he like that? And then once you find out, you go, wow. And those things are such a challenge to any family.
And it's just interesting that you say that. I mean, we're so difficult, or and culturally we've been taught that that you can't be of color not have any imbalance. that are in your family. We have fought that type of situation for years. I mean, we really have as a culture. And then don't let it be in the black church, okay? Because any inbounds that you may have outside of running around the church, screaming, hollering Jesus, then you all think, oh, you possessed with something. At the end of the day, and then we have really suppressed people that have these issues. And in life not being able to address them. Like you said, Charles, you have people that have been served in the army and come back and, and have, PTSD. I mean, like you mentioned about your brother. I mean, at the end of the day and trying to figure out that balance. It's something to see somebody get shot and killed right in front of you. Or multiple people getting shot in front of you and you having to step all over them, to keep defense or depending upon how bad it was. I mean, you might use that body to cover yourself up with. Yeah. And how deep into war something could be. So, it's not surprising, and unfortunately, on one side of that, then we're going to move on, is that probably with Rob's son, I mean, when you are in the esteemed area of, Hollywood, the industry, you do have more money accessible to you. And because of that, you don't make all the healthy choices. Well, like Liza Minnelli, same way, and what's the name's daughter that died Carrie Fisher. She was the same way. I mean, and all of these different ones that have had the upbringing in this, and one I still have. We talk about all the time is my basketball player's son, Magic Johnson's son.
Mm-hmm. Oh, EJ.
Yeah, I mean, EJ just different. Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, but I think that, and I myself, I do have a problem with all of that. We've talked about it before. I know, I do. I have a slight problem with a lot of it because it has been more of to me, his behavior. I could be wrong, and if EJ ever let me forgive me, come on, show we talk about it. That I think his behavior personally has been more of a middle finger to his dad in the beginning. I just think, before he got acceptance behind his dad. And I could be wrong. You look at me like I'm wrong.
Yeah, they said they've had that discussion. They've had that discussion in other interviews where he said that it was never against his dad. He was being himself. And Magic said, I encouraged him to be himself. It doesn't matter how we view him or what. Be who he is and be true to himself.
And I don't even know the man.
Well, I don't either. I guess that could be my little conservative moment about that. But sometimes I just think that certain things are a little too much, and even though you have the means of being able to do it and all that, I get all those type of things. But, I'll leave it at that because I could say some stuff that
I want to say, to be honest with you, we have come a long ways in this society as well as this country when it comes down to mental illnesses and stuff of that nature. Because you have to remember, there was a time when we had sanitation.
And I'm not saying he's mentally ill. I'm just saying about this.
Like I said, I don't even know him like that. But to be honest with you, we have come a long ways because there used to be a place for this called sanitation.
Yes.
There used to be
sanitarians.
Sanitations. Oh my God.
Almost same thing.
Sanitations. But no, sanitarians. You're correct. Sanitarians. Where people were, either locked up. People had to go through electrical shocks.
Yeah, shock therapy.
Shock therapy. They
cut that piece of the brain out. What was that?
Lobotomies and stuff like that. Which that was a situation within the Kennedys with the elder sister Rosemary. That was the situation early within of the 20th century and before that, where people didn't understand where this was coming from, and you even had religion saying that there was something wrong. There was some demon situations going on. So, to have
still do.
That's right. That's right. Still do.
Yep.
But like I said, it's we have come a long way, and we are able to have these conversations without judgmental let's just say ideas or people coming in and saying whatever they because at the end of the day, this is a sensitive topic.
Yes, it is.
People are suffering out here. And in today's climate, we were just joking about the economy and everything. Do you know people are really tired mentally? Mm-hmm. And all of this that we're dealing with when it boils down to whatever that's going on with healthcare and federal, the government, all that stuff, that's wearing down on the population.
Yes.
And with what Trump had posted on Truth Social, it's really telling right now how far people have now said, how far can this man go with this rhetoric of division and craziness now? because we can't go no further than this.
Right.
And you can tell that people are really wary of this type of rhetoric. So, you know, at the end of the day, hey, y'all, I just hope and pray that if you know of anybody that's going through whatever depression or, you know, whatever that is that's hurting them, but then please, hey, just be considerate and give them some time and some space, or just have a conversation. But just
they did a recent study that says that Americans are more productive than they've ever been in life, and that we have never taken into account that through all the history, we still work a 40-day week, a 40-hour week. And Bernie Sanders is putting together a law, or I guess you'll call it a policy, that will interject in the United States that will do a 34-hour work week, in which that people who work seasonally, will get paid overtime after 12 hours. You know, because during the holiday seasons, we slave labor, and we put them in there for a little bit of money, and then the daylights out of them for those few months, but they don't make any money. Then you also got to remember there are certain people who can't live off of just one paycheck. They have to work 2 jobs. So, you know, there has to be an understanding somewhere of us as a people versus just gimme.
Well, you know, and truly, and it goes to, like you said, to working. Nobody in this country should have to be working 2-3 jobs unless they absolutely want to. Okay, that means that the livable, not minimum, the livable wage is not instituted. Okay, and the bad thing they always give about that is that, well, it's going to hurt the small businesses. Well, okay, so you starve so the small business can stay alive. What really? You live in your car so the small business can say, no. I mean, come on. This is their pushback all the time. You know, the fact that they put a livable wage for everyone to have, you know, then it's going to hurt small business, because small business can't afford to pay people a livable wage. But you can afford to pay them in the South, $7.25 an hour. What? And then you got people that can't buy a car, can't pay rent, can't go. What? Nobody in this now. Here's the drawback. I know we're opening up a Pandora's box here today, but it's not what we're supposed to be talking about today. But here's the other part about that. They feel that if they brought that wage to, let's say, $25 an hour, you know, as a standard thing, that should take care of everybody. But here you have classification with that 25. So is a person getting out of high school worthy of making $25,000 with no experience, no background, you know? So this is, I know we can all, you know, share an opinion about it, but that's kind of the higher point of this. Is like, how do you justify paying somebody that has no experience $25 an hour? Okay, and those that do have experience, you still paying them $25 an hour.
True.
So how do you justify that? Well, the right thing to do is you escalate it based upon their experience, but companies are not going to do that, you know, because they're going to get.
As a nice segue to what our topic is, which is choices that men make, we have to understand that everybody is in a unique situation. Nobody's in a cookie cutter, at least not too many are in a cookie cutter situation. And a lot of us have to understand what a work-life balance looks like. That's why our children are neglected. This is why they have no mentorship, no guidance. This is why our relationships are so torrid, excuse me, because we don't have any concentration on healing and togetherness. We don't take the time to put that balance in there. And that's one thing that I think is becoming more evident. The old school rule has been the man needs to get out there, work, make his living, take care of his family. He has to get this done. He has to do that. But in today's society, and this is the one thing that's made it so hard between the sexes, is that more opportunities have arisen for women that have never been there before. And now you have women who are capable of making 6 figures, of running a household and being able to out earn her spouse. You know, so it's not so much as, you know, we want to be low key. It's the way society has changed, and we haven't adapted suitably enough to make life fit the way we live.
Right. I agree.
I think we just, and I'm going to just say this, stop sending the Golden Girls and Leave It to Beaver politicians to Washington, and stop sending them to your state houses, And
what's wrong with the Golden Girls?
nothing wrong, but
No,
you know what?
kidding.
The saddest thing about this, though, we as a people, we need to understand that at the end of the day, self-preservation's still rule. Right. You need to get involved with whatever that's going on. What I'm trying to say is, if you want all this stuff to happen, affordability, if you want things like your premiums to be affordable, I say I go for universal health care, free health care. Right. Because I feel like at the end of the day, our taxes, people say, well, I don't think my taxes should pay for your situations with your medicine and all that stuff. Well, I'm paying taxes every time I get a check. Right. My taxes are coming out of my paycheck. Right. I get hey, from what I see on my pay stubs, it's terrible. Right. And I don't understand how you can take that amount of money out of my check and tell me that we cannot have universal health care. Right. Our infrastructure cannot be rebuilt, or the fact that you cannot provide any type of assistance to the senior citizens, right, or anybody that's in need of some type of help.
But why do we send it to Israel? Why do Israel have free education? Why do Israel have universal health care? And why do we send billions of dollars to them in order to do that when we can't even do it for ourselves?
Right.
We can do it for ourselves. You know what? There's some crooked politicians that are there that we keep there because we don't get involved, nor do we vote. You have a younger generation, my generation. I'm 38 years old. And I 38. I'm not 39. I'm not that old. Excuse me, y'all. You're trying to add age to me. Listen, at the end of the day, they're the younger generation that do not believe in their civic duty. And they are complaining about the fact that I can't afford my rent. I can't afford groceries. I can't do anything. Well, you have allowed, I hate to say this, baby boomers to rule. And the baby boomers are, I hate to say, they are controlling the purse strings right now. And I do not blame them because they know how this system works. And I hate that people say, well, I don't care for the system. But you know what? The system is whooping our asses right now. Yeah. And I don't care if you apolitical. Hey, you ain't got to be into politics, but politics is stalking the hell out of you and me. Whatever I'm doing is something political behind it. When I'm working and getting a check, there's some politics behind it. That's true. And that it really irks me though, Charles, because see, what people don't understand is that this is a game, but you got to play the game. Yeah. Because everybody else is playing the game, and we're sitting up here eating what you call ramen noodles, while there are other people eating steak and lobster.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Well, I think that our life, because they're changing our educational system too. They're trying to do more trade balance education. So not so much as algebra and all that geometry, and I get it. Because I went to a high school like that. There was education driven, and I used to say, why do I need physics? Why do I need chemistry? Why do I have to have algebra? Why do I have to have, all this advanced geometry and all this? And I didn't understand it until afterwards. And then once you get the understanding, you realize everything has math in it. Everything. Sure. That's music. That's reading. Everything is consistent of math. And until you understand that, you lose the concept of the purpose behind having these educations. But it's also true that we don't teach life skills, how to balance a checkbook, how to budget, how to pay, how to schedule for the future. Your planning, your goal planning, how to set forth goals. Those things are so short lived when we do get them. We spend our 25s and 30s doing dream boards when we should have been doing them back at 17, 18, 19, and there's a thing that I truly believe we need to understand is that there has to be a life between generations where we sit with our parents, our grandparents, and so forth, and have discussions.
But we don't have that. We don't have that any longer. I mean,
there's certain communities that still believe in that.
Well, I'm not saying we didn't believe in it. But we just don't have it as a rule because everything else rules out at this point. From that. And then typically, yeah. Well, I was gonna say Charles and I age. I don't know. I did have that, but I did have that in the sense of community, and we really don't have even though it was maybe not been your grandparents, but at least the community itself was involved in educating and teaching the young people growing up. And you don't really have that anymore because first of all, these parents these days, if somebody mature tries to mentor or give them advice, don't be talking about child, don't talk about child about that, and all this other type of stuff, give you all this kind of flack attitude about it, and thinking that they have all the information about raising the children, which they don't.
Well, you know what? Yeah. Remember when when the Maya Angelou clip came out again? Remember when she was on somebody's local talk show out here in LA years ago? I think it might have been in the beginning of in the early 90s. And remember the young girl got up and called her Maya. Yes. Instead of Dr. Angelou, right? Uh-huh. And that clip was going viral because there was a debate within social media talking about the fact that was Maya wrong or right in correcting the girl the way she corrected her? Right. But in the midst of her correcting her, right, she was talking to the adults, saying that the adults have really dropped the ball when it came down to being respectable in one's community. When you're teaching the young, you need to tell them, you need to teach them. Because there was another lady that came up and said, well, I can't talk to these youngins, and these youngins are so disrespectful. And she said, well, ma'am, you have to teach them. You have to understand that these children are looking up to you and me and everybody else. And you know what's so sad is the fact that, they made that the clip, but towards the end of that clip itself, she apologized to that young girl. Maya Angelou, and said, you know what, I apologize because I was so short with you. Now she apologized. She was right in her stance, but she was apologizing for the fact that the approach that she went, which was another sense of integrity to tell the girl that even though I corrected you, but I apologize for the approach. The approach was kind of wrong. It was kind of wrong, but she said, the apology needed to be there to show that, even in my correctness, I still have to understand that that was a situation where I could have handled it a little better, right? But that was Maya's integrity right there. Even though the girl years later down the road, she came back and she said, in the comments, she said, I understood after the fact why she did what she did. And I took that note and kept it moving. Regardless if I was as young as she was 14, she said, I took the note. And she said, ever since then, I understand now what Dr. Maya Angelou was talking about, that you have to come into this world being respectable to your elders. You can't talk to anybody any old way, age-wise. You have to be respectable, but the adults have to teach the youth. You cannot be scared of the youth. And right now, people are scared of the youth because the youth is acting crazy because the adults they just not there anymore. They're working. They having to work these crazy hours, and then people don't have no control over social media. Social media is really raising the youth right now. It is no control over them being on social media. And that in itself is very telling and very scary, especially with the young boys that are coming up, with the way they are now having to really try to navigate this life and socialize. There is no, let's just say this, there's not a whole lot of places to socialize right now. The mall is not there anymore. There ain't no mall no more.
Well, there's a lot of issues that are out there. Yes. That I wish we could all solve it. And on our show, we've tried for 6 years to get an understanding among humanity, and I still say that we are in a place where people don't want to be accountable for their decisions and choices, or even take the time out to listen to a conversation that is leading you that direction, because we're not fluffing you up, we're not blowing smoke up your behind, and all these other type of things. And when it comes down to the realization of they are telling me the truth, but I don't want to deal with it, so I'm not going to support it.
It's not my truth.
It's not my truth. Well, yeah, and so you don't support. There was a comment that came out here today too. They say, well, I don't like the stream, but I'm disappointed because other people are not watching it. Well, my question for that person watching, why don't you like the stream?
Oh.
Okay. What is it about the stream that you don't like? Because it's too authentic for you? You know, is it really staying to your particular face of your crowd, your community, that you need to be accountable for the decisions that even that we're talking about? You may not be, you may not have children, but there's something in it you can share to somebody else. So, you know, this is the exact same thing that we're talking about, because the generation that is before us does not want constructive criticism in order to make their lives better. And then because of the boomers, as y'all would put it, have the insight, or the last part of the boomers have insight, you don't listen because you feel like they're too old. They're not, you know, they're not shaking their tail in the wind. You know, they're not turning up, bending over in front of everybody twerking, you know, and doing all this other type of things. So they don't have a validity, or they're not walking with the pants pulled down. So we don't know anything. You know, we haven't lived through anything, but y'all will live through some stuff.
Right. Yeah, right.
And you're going to live through a whole bunch of shit with this man in the White House, believe you me. So, and it's like, and if you don't realize it now, you will realize it before you get out of office, all right? At the end of the day, all right? And if you're an illegal alien, saying y'all know what's going on at this particular point in time, because this plastic surgery coming after y'all. But anyway, let me go on. So tonight we were going to emphasize and trying to encourage the men, you know, as we've done many times on this show, but we really, men, you know, you guys are such the catalyst of making things happen. You know, at the end of the day, you have all these white men running in one direction right now at the end of the day because they feel they're getting overlooked, or thrown out of the position, because it seems like the black community or the Latino community is rising up and taking a job from them, which is kind of stupid. Well, you know, stupidity reigns high. It starts at the top and then the White House reigns all the way down, you know. So, but when you socialize in peer groups that perpetuate this type of propaganda, you fall into it. Young people, okay, the ones that you listen to this propaganda, you run behind the ones that marched in Charlottesville, when they weren't the boys, the Proud Boys or whatever, they weren't old. You know, y'all, no. You weren't old. The white boys are white and was in Charlottesville with them and things all that. They weren't old. So where did y'all get that stupid ass understanding from, that you had to take this parallel stance against American society, that you were being overlooked? Who'd you believe that shit from? At the end of the day,
on X everyday rage bait is now the key for X. Oh. I mean, if you go down every post, there's always somebody fighting in the mall.
Oh yeah.
There's always something that is just very racist, very homophobic. Something that's just very sexist at times. It's like, you got to get off stuff like that to just get yourself together. Because
they don't want to, because it's sensationalism, and it gives them that euphoria moment. That's, you know, right. At the end of the day. So until you guys wake up and stop following this type of propaganda, you know, you're going to be in the same mindset that you are. Okay, and then you set yourself for the destruction. But here again, like the person said on the YouTube page, you know, you don't like the content because it's making you more accountability. But you know, hey, somebody got to challenge your ass to do something better than what you're doing. Okay, at the end of, but anyway, let's stay on topic. We're getting way off. So, but anyway, we're back to, you know, discussing this. We got a couple of points here. Very articulate gentleman here that he's a motivational speaker, but he hits on the point. I encourage y'all, all right, to rewind, play it back, and listen to it again, and take the accountability of what he is talking about. We're going to touch on him on several points, but here's the first.
Every time that you're triggered, this is a blessing. You should be getting down on your knees and just saying, thank you, Lord. When you are triggered, this is life's way of saying, we're throwing you a bone. You have things inside of you that you are unaware of. You have parts of you that you have not healed. You have stories that you tell yourself that are absolute lies. So we're going to bring it up through this thing that we call a trigger. Now it's on you to start asking the questions. What part of this is this inside of me that needs to be reconciled? Why do I feel the way that I feel right now? Why am I perceiving this? Where did this limiting belief begin? When you start asking those questions, when you are triggered, you will start to see that those triggers were just invitations for you to become all that you truly are. Whole, peaceful, joyous, loving, the real you.
Why can't we understand that?
You know, there used to be a time when, I know this will show my age, when we used to watch one television, the whole family, the whole house. This is how I got involved in politics. We would sit down and watch elections together. We would sit down and watch football, the Super Bowl together. We would sit down and watch, the Bing Crosby Christmas special together, the USO special. It was done as a family and as a group. And while you're there, I'm blessed enough to be able to overhear the conversations between the adults as they, battle back and forth over their opinions and the information they were ready to share, instead of hiding in another room to have these little secret talks while the kids sit in another room and watch cartoons or whatever. I was privy to sit right in the middle of them as they had these discussions, as we watched the elections, as we watched Martin Luther King walk down. I'm here in Chicago now. He went down Marquette Park and somebody hit him in the head with a brick. Excuse me, those things I was privy to sit here and listen to the adults talk about it and discuss it so that I could actually be a part of it and understand what that emotion was at the time. Whereas now, like I said before, my grandsons may never drive a car. They will never know what that looks like. It's going to come a time that everything they do is tracked. They'll never, it'll be almost like they are over in Japan. Everything they do is on camera. You'll never be able to do anything else without somebody monitoring you or overseeing it or controlling it.
Wow. You know what? Even in today's, what you just said there, Charles, see, that's a very triggering situation for me. In these times, you would think that things should be a whole lot better. With everything that's going on right now, politically, or just society situations right now. It does bring about some sense of let's just say this. It brings about a heaviness within one's mental wellness. We were just talking about Rob Reiner's son and some other situations that that these people have been going through, and then they took a unfortunate situation and turned it into a murdering situation. But then I will say this. Every time I get in the car, I always say, I don't know why I keep repeating this. I don't know why, but it just comes to me naturally. I always say, God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, because that's how religion. As much as I'm not into commercial religion, but I am spiritual, and I still can believe that there is a higher being, regardless if I go to church or not, because that's where my foundation lies. I do believe that there's something spiritual. There's a spiritual realm above me. And when I feel some type of way, or I feel depressed, I always say, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, please guide me, protect me, do what you have to do right now. Because sometimes, certain things like my job, certain things like if I'm watching something on television, I sometimes have to just tune out and turn off. And he knows this. When he comes into this place, everything is completely off. I don't even have the lights on most times when you come walking through the door from work, because it's just I need some peace, because outside these doors, it's not peace. It's not peace at all. You cannot seem to go down the street without any type of situation happening. And it might be, you might think I'm crazy, but at the end of the day, it just always seems like something is going on. So the home has become a domicile of peace, where I need to come and just distress. And if I can't, I do have to sometimes pray or say to myself that it's going to be okay. Whatever that's going on up there in Washington or here or around the corner, I know that I will be okay. And that in itself, that helps me get through the day mentally. Because it's you can get to a point that you can this in these times you can just get crazy, because people will make you go there. But then you have to realize that you have yourself at the end of the day. You have to control yourself. Regardless of what anybody else is saying, you still have ownership over yourself. And that's the power that we have from within. I sometimes have to get on him and say, why are you even yelling and arguing at people? If they don't get the order right, they ain't gonna get the order right. Just get your money back. Our money and our self-control is our power. And I wish people would understand, without having to react to cussing and fighting. You ain't got to cuss and fight to get your way. Your restraint is your power. you can crash out all you want to. That will make you feel better. But is it going to make the situation better? It won't. It will not make it better. So I will say this though. For me, I believe that you have to go within and find that muscle within you to push you to the following day or whatever day, because life is hard. It is hard, Charles. It is so hard to the point that you be like, God, if it's your will, hey, I'm ready.
It really is. I mean, you're right. I mean,
it's hard out here. It is for the young. It is very hard. Go ahead.
You're so true. But I mean, just piggybacking off of the last video, I think that the next point where you were saying going within, we're going to get into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But men, we're trying to direct this into. We're getting a little straight on our conversation, but we're really trying to direct this into encouraging you over the next couple of weeks through getting ready for 26. Is that men, you really need to start taking a long look at yourself, and we'll talk about a book that's come out in just a few minutes that Oprah featured, but in my opinion was the guy that wrote it. He just kind of off base.
But what did you get out of that?
Well, I'll get into it. Oh, this one,
the clip that you just showed. What did you get out of it?
Well, I mean, the number one thing is just it's always been my philosophy to try to be that type of person, and to go within and allow what is going on within you to be affecting the environment where you walk in. Because I believe in the energy. I believe in the quantum physics of our lives, and I've learned not to suppress that as religion has tried to do that in its being, because we all are an energy source.
That's true.
Okay. And religion, typical Christianity religion, doesn't want you to believe that you're the energy source, because they think you're talking about new age. Well, it is a new age. It's a new age of understanding. Okay. And everything there, every day you wake up, it's a new age. All right. So, putting all these labels on the why you should be, why not, why two rather than why not two? You ain't taking ain't nobody taking no credit from God by but believing in quantum physics. Actually, they expanded the knowledge of God even further. Okay, limitation people. But anyway, but basically what he's saying is that, take the opportunity to go within, just like you said earlier, and whatever if that worked for you, coming home, doing the things that you do, that should be a focus. There are a lot of many people that need to do that as a focus. But anyway, we're going to move on because we're running out of time here.
You get the choice. You can either grow or be comfortable. You can't do both though. You choose. People think, I want to grow and I want to be comfortable. That is not the way life works. See, there has to be some type of exchange. See, by me growing, I'm giving up comfortability. For me to stay the same, I'm going to be comfortable. Nothing in this life, nothing in this physical universe ever came to be the same. Nothing. Everything's constantly evolving. So when you know this, being uncomfortable, being uncertain, this is a part of growth. It is a part of development. So I don't look at it from a negative perspective. I just say, this was built into the game. This is how it is. And now you're not looking at it from a lower frequency, which allows you to gain the information, the lessons to grow. And then eventually you will reach a point where it's like, wow, I understand this. And it's not that it's comfortable. You become more tolerant of it.
Guys, because that's something that you really, really should grab and take the time to really listen to what he's saying again. But it's everything we've just been talking about. Here it is again.
You get the choice. You can either grow or be comfortable. You can't do both though. You choose. People think, I want to grow and I want to be comfortable. That is not the way life works. See, there has to be some type of exchange. See, by me growing, I'm giving up comfortability. For me to stay the same, I'm going to be comfortable. Nothing in this life, nothing in this physical universe ever came to be the same. Nothing. Everything's constantly evolving. So when you know this, being uncomfortable, being uncertain, this is a part of growth. It is a part of development. So I don't look at it from a negative perspective. I just say, this was built into the game. This is how it is. And now you're not looking at it from a lower frequency, which allows you to gain the information, the lessons to grow. And then eventually you will reach a point where it's like, wow, I understand this. And it's not that it's comfortable. You become more tolerant of it.
I mean, yeah, he's right. To be honest, it's to be honest with you, it's just the fact that we all want stability and we all want to be comfortable.
Right.
We all want to be comfortable.
But you can't do you can't have the two at the same time.
Well,
you can't grow and be comfortable, and that's the point he's making. But go ahead.
To be honest with you, but in the scheme of it, yes, you have to find the muscle within you to really advance and get beyond the hardness of it all. But the saddest thing about it is a lot of us, we're all built different.
Uh-huh.
We're built different. Right. We're not. Like Charles was saying, some of us wasn't raised to make hard choices. To make and you know what? And that is the reason why this country is in a situation right now that we hate to see it in, because at the end of the day, we made a choice, and it's so sad that the choice went in the opposite direction of where, as a society, we would rather have advanced and progressed, but people rather wanted to suppress the progressiveness of the change. They found a way to make things hard where it could have been much more easier. But that's another situation. I want, to be honest with you, I will say this though, as an individual, as me getting up in this world and trying to work through whatever that's going on with me, this type of rhetoric that he is spilling, it is really what you call it's tough love. It's tough love because we all need to hear this. We all need to understand that life is not easy, and we're walking down this path of life, just trying to figure it out. But then you have to understand that, hey, it's one of those things that you're going to have to get through. You can't even go around it, can't go above it, can't go under it. You have to get through whatever that is holding you back and holding you down. And you cannot, and I'm going to just say this to myself, you cannot blame the people in the past or the people right now that you feel have held you back. You still have the opportunity in the choice, because we do have the freedom of choice within our own lives to rewrite the story that is our lives.
True.
So I'm just going to leave it there. But at the end of the day, that is a tough love rhetoric that is so needed, and it needs to be really taken in. So on that though, Charles, go ahead.
Hey, I'm with you. One thing I try to do is not to be so judgmental, because you never know where you'll be in the future. Today you could be on solid ground and can point at what other people do and be so opinionated. But then next week you could be on the opposite side of that line and that person. So, too many times I tell this to, folks I deal with a lot is because they say you get quiet. I do, because everything doesn't deserve a response. Everything doesn't have to have an answer. I don't have to have an opinion on everything. Some things I need to absorb and internalize to see, how it fits me. Where do I come from on that ladder? Am I above this? Am I below it? Is it something that I need to take into consideration that may enhance or even distract from my life? But it means that I don't have to, like the gentleman earlier says, I feel sorry nobody's watching. You don't know that. You're not in charge of our analytics. You have no idea who comes after the show's over and watches things. But everybody likes to stir the pot and try to throw salt on things. When in essence, what you should be doing is absorbing and paying attention to see how this may affect you, or how it could, if anything, help your life.
Exactly.
But that's the world that's the society that we live in. Everybody has an opinion, and they think their opinion should be validated.
But every opinion is not valid because of everybody's. I mean, just because it's like the old saying they used to say, "What opinions are like buttholes? Everybody got one."
Yes. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, is your truth coming out of your butthole, or is it coming out of your knowledge of what you have experienced throughout life? Okay, that's when my opinion, a valid opinion comes about, because otherwise you're just talking loud and saying nothing. We have a lot of people talking loud and saying nothing, and that's what we have.
But to add on to it, that's why I don't. When I see people on TV or doing whatever that they're doing, and I have an opinion. Yeah, I think they should do this, and I think they should do that. But at the end of the day, they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're following their purpose. Why should I even put any type of layer of an opinion over? It just doesn't make sense. Well, and it doesn't. It just really doesn't at all.
Here's the protective or the gateway for an opinion. Okay.
Yes.
It's called ownership.
Okay.
Okay. So you preface when you say it an opinion or whatever, this is my opinion. So you take an ownership, but you don't put a blanket statement out there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So it's okay to do that, but you have to preface that, by the word or say, this is my opinion. You may have a difference in that opinion, understand where I'm coming from. Yes. But then it gives you the credence to say that maybe this person has a philosophical moment or an intelligent moment or something that they're being able to say without just flying off the handle. Mm-hmm. And flying off the handle is typically what half the people on social media does in the first place.
What?
Because everybody got something to say. I mean, everybody got something to say.
That's why it's there in the first place. It's social media.
Well, yeah.
Everybody wants something to say or get something off their chest.
And that's fine. Yeah. And I'm not trying to shut that opportunity down and being able to say that. But at the end of the day, you still have to be cognizant of what you say, even in the fact of your opinion. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, where the line gets crossed. I mean, hell, when we start off the show today with that idiot making a point on his governmental level, but saying inappropriate things about somebody that had just lost their life. That was his opinion. But at the end of the day, that was his opinion and not anybody else's. And that opinion led him to a lot of scrutiny and probably a lot of lost votes in the future and everything else. Because in my opinion, I'm stating that was a stupid opinion to even say something like that. Or it's ridiculous to feel like that. You're so narcissistic. In my opinion, you're so narcissistic that you can't even see the forest for the trees. You don't even know how to wipe your own ass because everybody tell you your ass stink. Come on now, really. So, it just boils down to that. But we have grown into this fear, not fear, but this fear of lack of understanding. It's like this whole fear is over the mentality of who we are as human beings. Okay. And we move in this fear because we think that it's a protective motive, but being able to say what we want to say, even out, it could be the most ridiculous thing that ever happened. Mm-hmm. But we feel like we're protected in being able to say. Then we throw it up under the legions, like Charles talked about all the time, freedom of speech. Everything ain't deserved to be freedom of speech. So let me just make this disclaimer. Freedom of speech was not put in place for you to get on social media or any other place and say anything you feel like you want to say. That's not freedom of speech. That is your opinion. Okay, and you can still be charged by those words because guess what? If you go up to somebody on the street and cuss them out, they're going to hit you in the face and shoot you on. All right, now you can say freedom of speech you want to. All right, but freedom of speech, just for y'all that know every damn thing, freedom of speech was only put in place that in a court of law that you could not be shut down from giving your testimony. All right. And it was brought over from England when the colonists came over, because in England, they could have the right to shut them down and they could not give their opinion on a trial situation. But see, we have misconstrued that with our own opinions, okay, and made it become something that it's not. So now you got everybody, they want to be extremely lewd. Oh, it's freedom of speech. No, it's not. That's not freedom of speech. That is your collective opinion and how you feel about it. But don't put that under freedom of speech, please, because it's not. Because everybody don't agree with that being freedom of speech was streamlined for a specific purpose. We have taken it out of control. But anyway, let's move on to this. We got to get in this show. All right, next.
You gonna let us debate that?
No, I don't need to.
Everybody's so focused on growing their income. Your income happens on the inside. See, we got duped to think that our income was on the outside. That's outcome. Income, outcome. You want to produce more outcome, but in order to produce more outcome, I have to increase my income. What is my income? My self-worth, my self-acceptance, my self-esteem, my self-validation. Anything that starts with self will be income. The money or the physical thing is the outcome. So stop trying to produce more outcome without increasing your income, because here's the reality of it. Once you increase your income, you'll say, I'm not selling for less. So you're not going to be okay with this. And now guess what? You just upped your earning potential because you've increased your income. That's it. The inside will always come first. Just focus on the inside. You do not have to worry about the outside. And guess what? Your outside will be in direct relation to your inside.
I bet it myself. At the end of the day, because we want, again, this goes into what we have just been talking about, a minute ago. It's just the same scenario right here and now. Is that this is why we deal with this BS that we're dealing with, because nobody is focused in on what's going on in their income, and they be it financially or income of knowledge and the wealth that you get from reading. We've got Christian media all over the damn place because everybody feel like they got the right line of the Bible at this particular point in time, which the manuscripts are manuscripts that have been collectively put together by thousands of different opinions.
Thousands of different main line.
What'd you say?
They have Jesus on the main line.
Exactly. Everybody want to speak for God. And God been silent and ain't speaking for nothing but himself what he need to. And what he speak to is his planet, how the sun rises and the sun sets, how the trees bloom, how the birds chirp, how the water keeps going, how the water stays separated. He's speaking in the way that he needs to. He's allowing humanity to do what it wants to do because it's speaking into what's in them to come out of them. So, there's so many people out here that have so many opinions right now about the Bible, not spirituality. Because spirituality will bring you into one place of agreement, okay? And agreement is that we are all spiritual creatures, okay? We have understandings different, and however our God speaks to us is how he's going to speak to us. So until we get past that, collective points of opinion. Well, our mind's right because I'm backing it up with the Bible. Oh, please. You find scriptures to support your agenda, and that's it. Period. And when you get caught in that agenda, you don't want to hear about it. You don't want to find about it. You don't want to say it's in there. He wasn't talking to me. It was only for a certain sector of people. Okay. Then it is for a certain sector of people. It was the scriptures were written for a certain sector of people for a certain period of time in that place of those people's lives. All right. Whether you want to believe that or not. But anyway, so go ahead and make your point about that.
You made the point.
Okay, we're gonna move on. All right, so our Instagram family, we missed them. All right, at this point, so let's get on. We're going to
Woo! Accountability is the highest form of self-love. Period. Point blank. No cap, as the kids would say. We're done. We can go and get off now. Accountability is the highest form of self-love. Meaning you're not pointing anywhere on the out. You're not even looking at the outside. Who cares what's going on? Who cares what he did? Who cares what she did? Who cares what they didn't do? What is it that I have control over? I have control over my perspective. I have control over my energy. I have control over my attitude. All of these things on the inside, I'm taking supreme ownership for them. I'm not going to let someone else or something else dictate my inner world. Another word for this, we call this sovereignty. When you start walking in your sovereignty, meaning I'm the master of my inner kingdom, no thing and no one will ever have power over me. Now, when you do this, you will start to see that you were the creator of your reality. And you can start to create your reality as you desire instead of how somebody else wants you to be.
You're muted. You're muted. There you go.
Okay, we're back. We're back. But like I said from some time back, we're our own ownership. We are the owners of our own situations. Let's just say it like that. If it doesn't make sense, it just at the end of the day, we have control over what we got going on within our storylines of our lives. You can, to be honest with you, it's all based on where you want to take it. And I'm speaking to myself. To be honest with you, because of the fact that it's just so much can stray you off the path. And to be honest with you, it just takes a little bit more endurance and a little bit more focus. And right now, I'm finding myself more and more going into the gym and not on a superficial level, even though at times, let's just say this, I want to look good. And I ain't going to lie. Who doesn't want to go to the gym and not want to look good?
People, he look good.
But, it's just the fact that at the end of the day, it's more of a mental situation as well, because, stress and everything else will control your scenario, but there's a way to deal with it. And I feel like, the best way to go about dealing with it is to find a way to stay active and not come home and sit in the corner and isolate, because that's where it really gets really ridiculous if you start doing that. And I did that before and gained weight because of it, because and it's just the fact that the energy wasn't there to motivate me. But because I'm now going out, doing things on my own, I wish somebody could come with me, but I have to find the motivation within myself to do it for myself, to make it so I can know that regardless of anybody, whether it's friend or partner or whoever, if they don't want to come with me, I still can go by myself and make it happen by myself.
Exercise.
That's right. And
that's mental,
to be honest with you,
physical, spiritual, all those exercises are key to life. Exercise your spirituality, you exercise your mental capacity, you exercise your physical capabilities, you exercise your health. Everything is a how you say it? Everything has to be worked and put in proportion to sustain a quality of life, because people forget it's quality versus quantity. We're all not guaranteed a quantity, but we want to have the best quality while we are here.
That's true.
That's true. That's on point. That's really on point. And that can go for anything: writing, exercising, acting, singing. People find a release in doing things that they know that would make them whole.
Right.
And that's where it all boils down to. That's the income that he was also talking about. Not the superficial income of making money, but the income of purpose. The purpose is what really sets everything into perspective, because we're all here on a purpose.
Right.
And that's one thing I think we all tend to forget, that people always say, well, why did so-and-so leave so early? Why did they transition so early? Well, they might have had a purpose,
right,
and the purpose was fulfilled.
Right.
I feel,
right,
whether you believe it or not, I feel like they were on a mission and the mission was fulfilled, and hey, they had a ticket to go back.
Right.
Because it's just that I feel like we're all here on a mission to make our world a better place, whatever world that you want to live, or society that you think that we live in. We are here on a purpose. Right. So I just feel like the purpose is our income.
Yeah, that's true.
The purpose is our income.
That's right. That's true. And how to look at that word. Well, all right, guys, we're going to bring it in because we don't want to go over to our purpose too much this evening. We want to pay homage one more time for another person that transitioned, another actor did. Tony Gary, Anthony Gary, he was one of the reigning stars on General Hospital for years, 38 years. He won 8 Tony Awards for his performances on there. So he moved to the Netherlands several years ago, and he was about to have, allegedly, I have to say, surgery, and the complications from the surgery is why he transitioned. But very, very successful. That remember the Luke and Laura wedding in 1981, was the best, still today, the most watched time on daytime television soap series, So we send him a great offering to the other side, and have him to rest in power as well. All right. So great work on this side. And we can't say gone too soon. He was 78, I believe. Yeah, 78. He was almost 80.
Yeah, he's right around there.
Yeah, that he was. So next week is going to be our celebration of Christmas. All right. So make sure you put your Santa hat on with us. Come join us. Be a part of that. We're going to have a lot of fun next week, just talking about, as we've done year by year, of our Christmases past, and what it means to us and those things. And how, if it hasn't been the most inspiring this year, let's go within, and put something in our income so that our outcome, will be different. from our perspective of it. And that's I think is the challenge for for us this week, men. We're going to dig in a little bit more. We didn't get a chance to talk to you about the Oprah thing that happened tonight, but we'll pick that up next week. But think about what you're putting in your income, guys. All right, because that's determining your outcome. All right, that's the word for the week. What is my income? What is my income is definitely going to determine my outcome. I do want to leave you this little clip, as well. A best friend has a hug waiting for you at any time you need one. Think about that. If you can't go to your best friend and get a hug, man, we got to talk about some stuff.
Your choice in people.
Your choice in people. There you go. What is your income? Determines your outcome. All right. Well, you guys have a powerful, powerful week. We will see you back and get all that Christmas shopping done that you're doing. All right. And celebrate and all that great stuff. It's always my favorite time of year, to have and to talk and to listen to my Christmas music from one month for 3 months. I listen to Christmas music, all right? Because I just enjoy it. I always have as a kid. And we'll talk more about that next week. All right. But you guys have a powerful, powerful week. Shoot. We dropping stuff. I'm getting off camera. Love you guys. And we will see you right here next week on what? The truth behind the truth. All right. Have a beautiful week.